But President William Ruto's roadside declarations are just becoming a very unhinged way to have conversations, to be a leader. It's unhinged is the word. The roadside declarations are not just technically illegal, but they are also, in a sense, too grandiose. They lack any sense of beginning and end and middle. We are forced to listen, but I think we now have an opportunity to push back and not only say, you're focusing on producing chapatis, and while that's supposed to be part of a feeding program that I'm sure somewhere along the way in your mind was supposed to be an effective addition, is not only not a priority, it makes no sense. There is no rollout. You're suddenly waking up and saying these things, and then you're expecting us to adjust. And then when we ask questions, you are calling us noisemakers, and you're saying that we just shoot from the hip and give you all these nicknames because you think it's fun. And I'm just saying, miss me with that. Miss me with that. You cannot make roadside declarations expecting it to be a point of truth and expect us to sit and listen. And even before you guys come in, can I read something really interesting that was sent to me around this? It says the constant lying, and by the way, it's also important to say that a lot of these declarations are lies. Let's go back to the 500 million shillings set aside for the Grammys. I don't want us to forget these lies and utterances. They've existed before. Because some people might say, some of the things you're saying, Janet, about funding health facilities, etc., I'm sure you can trace some of it. Some of them are just lies. Grammys can't come to Kenya. So that was a lie. It wasn't just a declaration, it was a lie. So what does that mean? This constant lying is not aimed at making the people believe a lie, but at ensuring that no one believes anything anymore. It goes on. I'll tell you who said that. A people that can no longer distinguish between truth and lies cannot distinguish between right and wrong. And then finally, and such people, deprived of the power to think and judge, is without knowing and willing it, they are completely subjected to the rule of lies. With such a people, you can do whatever you want. That was Hannah Arendt, a German historian and philosopher. Hiya.
Is there a threaded connection here between the anger being that this is another promise being made without looking at what has been accomplished? Or is the anger the fact that this declaration is being made here? Or is the anger that the declaration was not made in the form of, a formally read notice? I, therefore, President William Ruto, CGH, Commander-in-Chief of the Armed Forces, of the Defense Forces of Kenya, and so on and so forth. Where is the anger exactly?
A combination of all. I think the last one is what we need to be most cognizant of. It is completely unconstitutional to make roadside declarations because it means that you are almost in a sense ignoring whatever budgetary allocation was set aside for whatever it is that you're discussing, especially if it's something new, right? Because roadside declarations are essentially, oh, I've seen Apo Amna Shule, I'm going to build a school there.
Right.
I've got you. Oh, I can see here, this health facility is in deplorable condition. I'm going to. Even if it sounds like Santa, even if it sounds like Christmas is coming early, what happens is, if that becomes normal, then you're going to normalize the unconstitutional,
but
whether or not it works.
About that,
no,
Janet?
You have to make a declaration formally. Let me read.
Yeah.
Because
there's something called a declaration and there's something called a promise. If a leader comes to an area and then the leader hears you and says, all right, we are going to address that. That doesn't mean that I'm going to address it immediately.
How does this feed into our existing budget, our existing plans, etc.? Because I think the problem is not that you have good intent and you want to fix the problems of the day. It's that these are often said to placate people and to get a hurrah from the crowd whenever you walk in somewhere. Janet, read, because I was going to go into the cost perspective,
yes,
so we can see what those numbers look like.
Any declaration by the president which is not in writing, meaning signed and sealed, is contrary to Article 135 of the Constitution. So to be effective, roadside declarations must be followed through in writing and expenditure thereof must be approved by Parliament and the controller of budget. Right?
So for that declaration to be complete as an action, then it will follow those. It doesn't mean that you cannot say it.
It does. I think you should be cognizant of the fact that
It doesn't mean that you can only say it after you've done.
No, but if you're going to
You can
say...
declare intention.
they should have been planned for, and funds should be legally
But if you declare
appropriated.
intention, what's wrong with that? If you declare intention to to build a school in response to the community need for a school, right? Is that a declaration or is that a promise in response to this?
I think
that I am cognizant of what you have said, and you're asking for a school.
Why wasn't building the school on your radar before?
I hadn't come to the ground. I mean, not everything is in my radar. And that's the whole issue of
But of your
representation.
government's radar. I honestly find it hard to fight against someone saying, I want to build a school, but we'll still get into, will the school be built? Where will the money come from? Etc. Right? Okay, machine that makes 1 million chapos a day. Let's assume such machine exists or can be procured or created. We live in a world of possibilities. Fantastic. Cost for ingredients alone a day, 11 million shillings. I just used estimates here, by the way. Labor, at the very least, if people are basically volunteering that time, you're looking at about 500,000 shillings. Utilities of 500,000 shillings. Packaging of 200,000. Logistics of about
Packaging
1 million
what?
shillings. Packaging the chapos. How are you transporting them?
Listen. Okay, you continue. I'll respond to this.
Logistics of 1 million shillings, overheads of 500 shillings a day, coming to about 14 million shillings a day for these 1 million chapos. Right?
Yep.
That's about 14 boba chapo.
Okay.
We've really been very, very conservative with our estimates. That's the word. 195 school days in a year. I've removed weekends, holidays, etc. That gives you 2.7 billion shillings a year. Where is 2.7 billion shillings coming from? And this is just the chapos. Who gets these 1 million chapos? Which students where? Who gets, who doesn't get?
When did he say this? Because I think what Mariam is doing and why it's good is that it now needs to move beyond the declaration to the breakdown. You asked, is there anything wrong with making promises? The problem is, and I will say again what Ms. Hannah said many, many decades ago, people that can no longer distinguish between truth and lies cannot distinguish between right and wrong. My point is, some of these declarations have been lies. So we cannot say, oh, but somebody shouldn't make it a habit or shouldn't be able to make promises. Promises are good. I do want to build your school. I do want to enhance your services. At the same time, I also want to open designer stores. I also want to produce an excessive amount of chapatis. I won't explain to you how we'll do it. I also won't explain how we're going to make some of our constituencies or wards, like London, for example. I won't explain. I'm just telling you, I'm going to make you. It's going to happen. And I'm telling you for real, we're going to get everyone from the Grammys here.
Bro, sinimina kusho.
And what people, exactly. And what people,
Tutakwa London,
think, Tutakwa London, bro. And I think what people need to be most cognizant of is don't downplay these roadside declarations, because within them, there are lies. I think there's hidden agendas. It's an easy way to say so much, and then so much comes at you that you almost move on with life saying, he said that thing. No. We need to push for follow through. Roadside declarations cannot exist as they do. It allows, I think, a manipulation of systems, budgets, and the constitution. That is the danger with roadside declarations.
Don't get me wrong. I hear you. I hear you very well. I'm asking, where is the anger? Because sometimes we just see a lot of anger, and you try to break down, so what exactly is the issue with the anger here? And where is it coming from? And what's the underlying factor?
It's
the underlying factor could be all those things that, it's a political system that has promised, started, not finished. Promised, started, not finished.
It's a promise sitting on a grave of thousands of promises.
Right? If all those things have not been done, then there's that. But then there's the other side of questions that come just because something has been said, then a question comes.